A few years ago, I decided to quit social media, and I don't mean just deleting the apps, but actually deleting my accounts entirely. I thought social media was a waste of time and always took me away from pursuing my passions. So for 2 years, I did not spend my downtime on the train or before bed scrolling endlessly. And it felt great. I found myself writing a lot more, reading a lot more books, and just overall peaceful. But I also felt lonely because I did not have a community of writers or people who loved books the same way that I did, so that I can speak to them and share my passions with them. Then I read this book, Show Your Work by Austin Kleon, which changed my view not only on social media, but on what does it mean for us to have an online presence. This book taught me on the importance of artists showing their work and how to do it, making me realize that sometimes to find your community, to find those people who share the same passions that you do, is by simply making it available for them to discover you. Hi friends, my name is Mohamed and I'm a writer, and in this channel we demystify the writing process and talk about tools and habits that make writing joyful. And in this video, I want to talk about the book Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. Why is it important for us as artists to share our work, and how to do it, how to navigate this online space, and what does it mean to be an artist and an online or a content creator. Now this book is part of a trilogy that starts with Start Like an Artist. I think Show Your Work is the second one, and then Keep Going is the final one. I've read all of them. These are one of these series of books that I keep very close to my desk, and whenever I feel that I lack inspiration or I don't have new ideas, I sort of just reach for particularly Show Your Work and flip through it and read from a random page, because it just helps me frame my state of mind in a way where, as an artist, our job is not to, be original only or to create new stories, but is to reach within to find the ideas that we already experienced, to find the stories that we already have, and it just takes a matter of just listening to ourselves. The book starts with a very interesting quote that I want to read to you, and it's by the author, novelist, and playwright Honoré de Balzac, and I'm pretending that I actually know who he is. I do not. But I think the quote is still valuable, and it says, "For artists, the great problem to solve is how to get oneself noticed." Now this is someone who passed away in 1850. This is before social media, before TV, before all the tools that we have currently where we can put ourselves in positions to get attention. And I think the quote is debunking this fairy tale that sometimes artists get into believing, where if you do good work and if you continue and do it for a very, very long time, then somehow someone will come to your doorsteps, knock on your door, and take you from your apartment in New York City, as for myself particularly, and give you the reward or award that has been waiting for you, and they just made a huge mistake of not finding you earlier. It does not happen that way. There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of books that get published every year, and no one hears about them. And there are people who live with ideas, live with stories, and write them, but do not get them published. So this idea that somehow if we keep writing, we will be discovered, we will be published without taking the proper steps or some sort of strategy that will get us from point A to point B, it's just a fairy tale and a dream. It does not happen that way. For Austin Kleon, the main two reasons that he encourages artists to share their process or share their art online, whether it's in a newsletter, a blog, or on social media, is for one, the benefit you will get is a very, very clear idea on your artistic process. It just helps you take this very complicated process like the writing process and break it down into analogies. For example, one of my favorite writers, Anne Lamont, she uses the analogy of bird by bird, that the writing process requires so much, but her whole thing is like, if you just tackle it day by day, you take it bird by bird, you take it paragraph by paragraph, scene by scene, where you sit down every day and you just write that one task that you have, whether there's a dialogue between the mother and her son, just take that one task, and if you do that every single day, then you will have a novel. This makes it a lot easier for you to think about the writing process than to think about plot, character building, setting, metaphors, and all the things that makes a successful novel. But she would only arrive to an analogy like this is because she has intentionally sat down and wrote about the writing process itself. She shared with the world what her process looks like, and that's what Austin Kleon is encouraging. And the other benefit, and is the one that Austin sort of emphasizes the most is that it connects you with other people. It connects you with like-minded people like yourself who are passionate about the thing that you are passionate about. For me, is writing, but for you, it could be writing, it could be anything else. And I say this often, especially to my writer friends, that writing is such a solitary act, but once it's shared with people, it becomes a communal ritual. And I experienced this. I get the most energy of returning to the writing process, being committed, being accountable to my to the white page, is when I meet my writing friends more often, because it just gives us the sense that we are responsible to each other. We have a thing that we want to share with the world, and it matters. And we make each other feel like what we are doing actually matters, even though we've never published. None of us have awards or a contract for a book or anything else, but because we are writing together, it makes us feel like we are doing it as a group. And I noticed with my online journey, when I started, I had a friend who was also a YouTuber who used to encourage me, just start a YouTube channel, and I resisted. I'm like, I'm just not ready for the camera. I hate just talking to this machine and then someone else watching me on the other side and judging me and leaving all these bad comments. I just did not want to go through that process. So what I did was I started a blog, which is like, you know, the least resistance of thing to create when it comes to sharing content. And I wrote a couple of blogs, I posted them on my website, and it just didn't feel like the thing that I wanted to do. So I was like, maybe a newsletter is the thing to do. So I started a newsletter. It was weekly, and I did it for a very, very long time, and it did not grow much. And I actually still run it until now, and it's growing a little bit more, but I'm just having fun with it in a way that I did not used to have fun with it in the past, which I can get into in a later video. But after the newsletter, after a while, I decided I wanted to start a podcast. And in the beginning, that podcast was just audio. I would record myself. The first episode that I remember, I did it with my brother in my living room, and then I started booking people and did it over Zoom, but I would only use the audio and post it on all the podcast platforms. Then I decided I was gonna make it a video podcast. So I took a camera that I already had from years ago, connected it to my computer, recorded the first conversation, and posted it online. Then it got overwhelming because it takes so much to book guests and to find people, and the back and forth and sending a Zoom link and coming up with questions and doing research. And because all of my content was about writing, sometimes I booked authors and I had to read some of their work in order for me to be familiar with what they did, in order to ask good questions. So it was just a lot. So I decided, all right, let me just shoot overhead videos, just me talking to the camera about the things that I know. And then this is when this journey started. This was a long answer on why you should share your process, your work as an artist, and I hope I'm convincing you to start doing your own thing. I'm going to take the most important concepts and share with you and unpack them, but he goes in detail on the concepts that I will share and even other more concepts. But the whole book is technically going through 10 ways that you can share your work, and he covers it all. I recommend the book, but here we go. First, and is the question that everybody asks themselves before they share their thing on social media, is, do I have to be an expert? In here, he calls it, do I have to be a genius? And the answer is no. You don't have to have degrees. You don't have to have a master's degree or a PhD before you share what you know. I think part of the desire for us to be an expert before we share whatever we think we can give value to others is from this imposter syndrome, which means that we feel like we're not qualified enough, we're not good enough, that other people that we watch online or we follow online or we even admire have, you know, these super powers that we do not have, and it's only when we acquire the credentials that we can start sharing our work. And it's not the case. I remember years ago, a friend of mine approached me and asked if I can teach him how to read Arabic. Now, I was much younger than I am today, and he asked just to teach him how to read. He was not interested on speaking, he was not interested on comprehension. He just wanted to learn how to read, decipher the letters, know the sounds, and connect them together and say the actual words. He was 5-7 years older than me, and I was just a college student. And yes, I did study in Yemen. That's where I was born and I grew up till 8th grade, but I wasn't near having the ability of teaching someone else how to read Arabic. Yes, I knew my letters, but I did not know what the process looked like. How do you engage with someone that their first language is not Arabic, their second language is not Arabic, has no familiarity with the letters or anything else, and you teach them from scratch? I did not know how to do that, especially as a 18, 19 years old. And in the beginning, I made a lot of mistakes and he made a lot of mistakes too. But what I realized after weeks and weeks of meeting with him and reading and practicing and making mistakes is that I was able to bring him to the level that I was in with my Arabic skills, with my reading Arabic skills. After that, he had to find someone else to elevate his level. Yes, I did not have teaching skills, but I had the content, the experience, the value. I just needed to know how to package it and give it to someone else. And while it's not the expert sort of process, but at the very least, I can bring him to, you know, a level that was better than where he was. And this is how I approach this YouTube channel. This is how I approach my writing, is that yes, I am not someone who has published before. I have a master's degree in creative writing, which is a plus. I have been writing for more than 10 years, almost every day. I've been thinking about the writing process. I've been thinking about storytelling. I've used it in so many avenues, so many places in my life, whether it's my work, at home, at events. Storytelling, I breathe it, think about it. I do everything with a storytelling lens. And so because of that, I have gained insights from experience that I can share with others, and hopefully that they find value in. Now, I can wait until I publish a book before I talk about the writing process or novels or anything else. But then it would be a missed opportunity for me this whole time that I have and the passion that I have right now for cameras and for shooting videos to just go to waste just because, you know, I just need someone to publish a book for me and give me very little money for, to tell me now I can do this thing that I already like. I guess I'm covering point 1 and 2. On the one hand, we all have this imposter syndrome that we think we're not qualified or we are not geniuses and we need to be geniuses in order for us to share with others, which is false. You do not have to be a genius. You do not have to get credentials in order for you to share with anything. And then there's this other part where you can just teach what you know, which is solving for number 1. If you teach what you know, then first, you are confident with what you already know. You don't have to learn it. But then you also can do a lot of research and dissect it and make it less complex, make it simple for other people to digest. That's another way. And the lesson here is that when you teach what you already know, or when you teach on content that you are passionate about, we go back to the beginning of the video, you just get better at talking about what you're already passionate about, because it forces you to create words, to create structures, to create thinking patterns. I'll give you an example how teaching others forces you to create words for things that you're already doing. There's this thing that I've been doing for years, which is taking a sticky note every single morning, putting it on the desk and writing 3 things. I will put just 3 boxes, and next to them I will write the 3 things that if I do them today will make everything else that I have to do irrelevant. So what doesn't make it into that sticky note is responding to emails, making phone calls, and things that will take 2 minutes. It doesn't make it to that sticky note. But what makes it to the sticky note is things that take about an hour of focused deep work, or like shooting a video definitely makes it to that sticky note. Writing makes it to that sticky note, or things that take a long time and a lot of focus. So before I had to record a video about this habit, I literally just, you know, did it for the sake of doing it. But because I had to make a video about it, because I wanted to make a video about it, I wanted to name it. I wanted to give it a name. So I called it the 3 T's, or the 3 things. And that just stuck with me. And now every time a friend of mine at work or a colleague sees one of these sticky notes, because I have them all over, would ask me where are they, and I will give that whole spiel of story of the same video that I shot a few months ago. So that covers point 1 and 2. Point 3 is be ready to take the punches. And these don't come right away. They take time, but they will come. Which is, if you decide to have an online presence, to share your process, to share your work, people will criticize, because it's much easier to be a critic than to be a creator. I remember after reading this chapter, I thought, oh, this will never get to me. These people will comment or criticize on the comment section. No, it will never get to me. And then, you know, I started posting videos, video after video, and then they come. It took a while, but they come. And I remember the very first comment was about, actually in one of my most popular videos, about the book Bird by Bird, and how it is one of the, it's a book that literally taught me what my writing degree taught me. But in any case, the comment was criticizing that I started talking about the book without showing the book for a very long time. Because I remember as the video rolled in, I just went like this and put it right down, and the viewer did not get enough time to see the book, the title, the the author. I did mention in the description. The comment was like 6 lines or 7 lines just about that, motion. And I thought about it for days. I apologized in the comment section, and it got into me. I messaged my editor and told him, oh, next time let's use some b-roll for book reviews. And I replied to that comment apologizing. And I think the next day I woke up, I'm like, what is going on? Who cares? And I literally just deleted the comment because I was so mad at myself for reacting the way I reacted. Maybe I shouldn't have deleted and just left it for history's sake. But they get into you, and just be ready. If you are willing to put your work out there, there are people there they don't have much to do except criticizing others. And sometimes those criticisms are valid and they hone your process, they make you better. Sometimes they're not. But at the end of the day, you are not doing it to please others. You are doing it to give value to others, and that's it. Maybe by this time you're convinced. You'll say, Mohamed, okay, I'm convinced. Where do I start? Where do you get all these video ideas, blog ideas, newsletter ideas, all these things? Where do they come from? And Austin always refers to just look within your cabinet. Look within your experience. You want to show your viewer, you want to show the community that you want to build, the path that you took. So for example, I'm sharing this book. The first time I read this book was maybe 5-7 years ago, and I've read it since many times. But the point is, when I thought about shooting this video, I did not just invent something out of the blue or talk about a topic that I'm not familiar with. I'm just talking about something that I already read many times. I'm talking about something I'm very comfortable with. I'm talking about something that I know provided me value, and I know if people just perceive it the way I perceived it, experienced it the way I experienced it, they will find the same exact value. And that's why I'm shooting a video about it now. So when you start your newsletter, blog, or YouTube channel, first start with what you know, and that's the easiest thing. Don't overwhelm yourself of trying to compare yourself to someone else or raise someone else. You just stick to your lane, show what you know, share with people your journey, your turns, your pains, and your failures and your successes. And that's where people will feel related to you. That's where people will learn from the same things that you learned from, and from the lessons that you will share with them. And lastly, just stick around. Creating content, creating something for the world takes a very long time to get attention or traction. And if your main reason, if your why comes from, I just want to build another source of income, or I want to be famous, or I just want to get rich, then I promise you, the process is so hard, you will be burnt out. And then there are other people that you are competing with that are doing it for the sake of the thing itself, or for something that's higher than the materialism that comes with it. And with those people, you will not be able to stand a chance with winning the race. And although it's not a competition between you and anyone else, it is still a competition of attention. At the core of it, you find your why based on the value that you want to bring to the community. For me, why I do this whole thing isn't because I want to get famous and I want to get views, I want to get subscribers. I think those things are an indication that I'm doing the thing that other people find valuable, and my reward comes from just giving value to others, build a community of people that are like me, who started writing, not from birth, but from very late, or not that late, from like college years, after college years, and believed that they can be a writer even if their second language was English, and they did not have the resources, the community, or the family that will support them to follow their passions. And with all those odds, they still persisted, and they found a way. They got master's degree, enrolled in programs, got fellowships, and published short stories, and did their thing because they just believed in themselves and they did the work, and not just to get famous and rich. Because to be honest, it's very hard to be famous and rich, to be an artist. The lucky ones do get it. So find your why, do the thing, and always get value to others. Again, highly recommend the book. One of the best books for inspiration and showing your work. If you want to start and you don't feel like showing you ready to show your work, See Like an Artist is a book. I want to make a video about this, but mainly for where do ideas come from, or where do you sort of take inspiration from to start to creating your art. And then finally, Keep Going is sort of these how to stay creative and create a long haul of just good art. If you got into this point of the video, then know that I take a lot of inspiration from us in Cleon. I have a newsletter where I share about my own writing process, my YouTube journey, and everything that I personally do. So make sure you sign up. It's called Increments. The link is gonna be on the description. Other than that, if you like this video, then you would really love the video that I talked about earlier, which is about Bird by Bird. Is a book that is worth a writing degree. I will link it right here. Go watch it. In the meantime, keep writing, and until next time.